Hi, everyone. My name is Steve Clark, and I am a member of the Global Alliance. I'm the immediate past chair, and along with Chris Ailes, I am one of the members of the Certification and Assessment Committee for the Global Alliance. I am based in Washington, D.C. I'm a steno captioner, and I've been in this field for about 37 years now. So I'll pass it to Chris to introduce herself.
I'm Chris Ailes, and I happen to be a voice writer, and I am in Detroit, Michigan. I'm also on the certification committee, and I started as a volunteer as secretary of GA, and now I'm past secretary of GA. Steve, you want to take it away?
So we wanted to come together today just to kind of talk about the NCSP, which is the NER Certified Speech-to-Text Provider, which is an assessment and certification that Chris and I worked with other committee members to create for the Global Alliance.
Yeah.
The other members are also steno captioners, as well as voice captioners, as well as one Global Alliance member who has created and administers, if you will, ASR, or automated speech recognition software to do captioning. Our committees are in North America as well as in Europe. And we wanted to talk about how we also worked with consumers, with our members who use our captions every day to get feedback on what they feel is important with determining quality in captioning. So we looked at a couple of different methods. We looked at the traditional WER, or the word error rate, which just looks at every single word and whether you capture it or not and determine accuracy from there. Every word that's missed is counted as an error. And then we looked at the NER, with N standing for number of words in the transcript, E addition error, and R recognition error. And the NER is something that we were really intrigued by because it does look at caption quality from the consumer's point of view. Yeah. And Chris has an interesting story about how she really got introduced to the NER.
Yeah, I had never heard of the NER, and I was invited to speak at the Poland. It's called the ILSA convention. They wanted to know how voice writers in our country were certified and what programs we used and all the little nitty gritty. And I did a little demonstration for them. And that's where I ran into Dr. Pablo Romero Fresco. I mean, real passionate about the NER. And we sat down for, I think it was like almost 2 hours. And he showed me all the research that he had done, particularly with consumers, and how they looked at the NER model, which was consumer based. And what they did was they ended up testing, they had like a focus group, and they provided captions for the focus group, obviously that were videoed, and so they could see it and give their feedback. And that's how the NER model was kind of introduced to me. And then I was really passionate about it. I thought, wow, you know, this would be great, because I have always believed that although quality captioning is really, really important, what's also important is what the consumer reads and the quality there. And I came at it from a consumer point of view when, you know, when I was watching the captions, and I'm like, you know, sometimes we don't need all of those words. What we need is the important words, and we need the important words to be accurate. And so what happened, the GA, Global Alliance Association, which I had started investigating because they accepted all methods, and I thought, wow, this is really great. I volunteered to fill the secretary position, and then I volunteered to be on the committee for the certification program, and that's where I met Steve. And I started out heading it up, but it was kind of overwhelming because I had to develop a lot of material. So I corralled Steve, and he and I have been working together with a group of captioners, both voice and steno. We have one in Europe, in Poland, and we came up with the certification. We decided that 10 minutes was a real world level of certification, only because number one, having somebody dictate a Q&A or a jury charge, or it doesn't really reflect what we're doing as captioners. And so we needed to find material that reflected the captions, and we wanted to do the 10 minutes, so we could see a little bit of endurance, rather than 5 minutes. And so that's what we did. And we had to create a lot of documents along with it. And Steve has been wonderful in helping me do that, because there's a lot of documents. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and with that 10-minute recording, so, traditionally to get certified with other groups, it's 5 minutes of controlled material at a controlled speed, speaking the way I am, very structured and enunciating every single word. What we thought was important was to get more material, so a 10-minute test that is of real world material. So we aren't creating the material, we're sourcing it. We're finding material that truly reflects what we as captioners come across in our daily work. So that means that the speaker may speed up at times, may pause at times. There may be parenthetical information, applause and cheers, or laughter that needs to be added. And it also means that there may be times that you really struggle with a little bit with hearing, just because the person might be walking around the room and you might lose a little bit. But it's meant to be a real world test of how you handle a situation like that. And we also settled on the NER because it's used internationally. It's used by a number of countries where it has been adopted for determining quality with captioning, and it's used by a number of different captioning companies around the world. So we know that it has been vetted, and we know that there is confidence and trust in this method of assessing quality. But Chris, why don't we talk a little bit about how errors are weighted or given a weight? So you have minor errors, you have major errors, and then you have critical errors.
Yeah.
And some of those could be because of addition, meaning that you as the captioner left something out. Some of it could be a recognition error, meaning if your software didn't recognize properly what you said, or if it's steno, that you entered a keystroke that you have not defined before, so it couldn't be recognized. But then there are also what are called correct additions. And those are things that are left out that don't change the meaning. For instance, or at the end of the day, those kinds of filler phrases that if we leave them out, they don't change, or paraphrasing or condensing the material, but the key information or the idea unit, as it's called in the NER, all gets caught.
Right. We can't always control in real world captioning how fast a speaker is going to speak. For instance, the news is different depending on if you do national news or you're doing local news. Local news tends to go like really fast, and whereas your national news, they tend to be more precise. So we wanted to give a flavor of both venues, so we could test our skills and those who wish to become certified with real world stuff. And everything that we collected is all common licensed. So we're not stepping on anybody's toes. And there's a lot of material there. There's material about disaster, and there's TED Talks, and there's interviews, and there's multiple speakers, and how you handle that. Your serious error is something that when you caption, it's wrong or false information. like if they're talking about money and they say, well, this costs $15 billion and you write 5 million. That's like a serious error because the consumer actually thinks, okay, well, you know, it costs 5 million. What words such as can and can't make a big difference, while it can change the total meaning of the sentence. And so that would be probably a standard addition error, where it would be weighted a little bit more heavily. And a minor error might be punctuation that was added incorrectly to change the meaning of the sentence. It could be that the paraphrase didn't capture really the essence of what was being said.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it could also be, just as an example, someone used the word and I wrote the word also. They mean the same thing, and the consumer has not lost any information that is key to them following the story or following the speech or whatever is being captioned. So that would be more of a minor error. But as Chris said, those critical errors, if they said Joe Biden has been elected president and you captioned Joe Biden hasn't been, well, that's what would be considered almost a lie. That's completely the opposite of what was said. So that is given a heavier weighting when we do the score and when we come up with the accuracy level. And just as we wrap up here, Chris, we did adopt 98% accuracy for level 1, which is what we've created so far. And that follows what the NER guidelines were, and we wanted to follow those as closely as we could. But we also are working on other levels, level 2 and level 3, and we anticipate those will be more difficult material and possibly at a higher accuracy percentage, around 98.5%. But just as we wrap up here, Chris, why don't we talk about how we are not requiring CEUs or continuing education units to maintain the NCSP. Rather, every 4 years, you are required to retest. So you have that certificate, it's valid for 4 years, you receive a new one every year for those 4 years. And then after 4 years, in order to maintain your designation as NCSP, you do have to retest.
Exactly. And Steve and I are really excited. The work that we put into this has finally come to fruition. And I wish that everybody would become a member of the Global Alliance and test your skills. I found it quite interesting because I had to dictate most of the material. And then of course, Steve proofed it, or vice versa. We worked together as a team. And yeah, it was kind of fun. I mean, it's a challenge, and I like challenges. Yeah.
And just to clarify, when Chris says she dictated the material, because she's a voice writer, she means that she actually used her voice to caption, to create that transcript. And then I went through and reviewed it 4 or 5 times just to make sure we truly had the verbatim verbatim transcript that we then compare the test candidates caption to determine the accuracy level. But yeah, this was really fun to put together. It was a lot of work, a lot of time spent in the evenings and weekends and days off to get this finished, but we're excited for it. And as Chris said, we hope you'll take a closer look at it. Let us know if you have any questions, and please consider joining the Global Alliance. We are small, but we want to keep growing. And again, we welcome every method of captioning, regardless of how you produce captions. And if you take our certification, any method is welcome to take it. Every method is held to the same standard. So we think it's a very fair and current way of assessing quality. So with that, Chris, if there's nothing else, I think maybe we wrap up here.
I think we wrap it up, and we challenge you to come and take the exam and have fun with it, be challenged, open new pathways to your career. And so signing off, Steve.
Thanks, everyone. We hope to see you soon.
Bye-bye.